here, you're live.
Okay.
Okay. And anytime you're ready to start.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the City of Oxnard Planning Commission meeting, regular meeting for Thursday, June 3rd, 2021. A quick housekeeping item. In accordance with Governor Newsom's executive order N-29-20, members of the commission and some staff will be participating via teleconference. As shown on the agenda and online, please email all written public comments to planning@oxnard.org. For those wishing to speak, may visit oxnard.org/city-meetings to fill out the speaker form, or by calling 805-385-7878 by 2 p.m. the day of the meeting. For my colleagues, please use the raise hand feature when you wish to speak. Once you have been called on, please then click on the hand again to lower. When making a motion or seconding, please clearly state your last name for the record. Because the meeting is electronic, all votes will be done by roll call. And just a side note, immediately following tonight's regular meeting, we will be having our subcommittee for our rules and procedures. That concludes that quick housekeeping. Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Chair Chavez,
Here.
Vice Chair Owejo,
Here.
Commissioner Connolly,
Here.
Commissioner Lopez,
Here.
Commissioner Meyer,
Here.
Commissioner Nash,
Present.
Commissioner Sanchez is absent. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Vice Chair Rejo, would you mind leading us in our Pledge of Allegiance tonight?
Certainly. Please stand if you're able to. Put your hand over your heart and begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you for that, Vice Chair. We'll now move into public comments. Members of the public wishing to address the Planning Commission regarding any items not on the agenda, but within the subject matters jurisdiction of the commission may do so at this time. The commission cannot take action on any items presented during public comments and will be referred to the commission secretary. All public comment speakers will be limited to 3 minutes. Madam Secretary, we did not receive any public comments, correct? Requests?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. So we'll go ahead and move on to our next item, which is our consent agenda. This is approval of our minutes from our May 20th, 2021 meeting. Commissioners, any changes, and has everyone had an opportunity to review? And if so, be looking for Commissioner Meyer.
Thank you, Chair Chavez. Just a question for confirmation, clarification. Was it Mr. Kolwitz that led her Pledge of Allegiance? I didn't recall if that was what actually happened.
Yes, Mr. Kolwitz did lead us our Pledge of Allegiance that day.
Thank you.
Anything else? If not, looking for a motion. Vice Chair Rejo.
Thank you, Chair Chavez. I move to approve the minutes as distributed.
Thank you. Is there a second? Commissioner Dr. Lopez.
I'll go ahead and second.
Thank you. It's been moved in second to approve our minutes from our May 20th, 2021. Madam Secretary, roll call.
Vice Chair Owejo,
Aye.
Commissioner Lopez,
Aye.
Commissioner Meyer,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Aye.
Commissioner Sanchez is absent. Commissioner Connolly,
Yes.
Chair Chavez,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you. We'll now move into our ex parte declarations for public hearing items. We'll follow the same format that we've been following. Vice Chair Rejo.
Yes, Chair. I drove by and looked at the property for agenda item F1 last week.
Thank you. Commissioner Connolly.
No.
Thank you. Commissioner Dr. Lopez.
No.
Thank you. Commissioner Meyer.
No.
Thank you. Commissioner Nash.
No.
And no for myself. So we'll go ahead and move into our public hearing items. F1, project name is 1001 Catamaran Duplex, planning and zoning permit number 21-400-01. This is a coastal development permit requesting authorization to construct a two-story, 4,728 square foot residential duplex building consisting of two attached three-bedroom dwelling units, which are 1,943 square feet with an attached 421 square foot two-car garage, and will also include an 84 square foot balcony and a 263 square foot terrace on a 7,900 square foot vacant lot. Project is located at 1001 Catamaran Street, parcel number 196-0-031-065 within the residential existing land use designation and coastal multiple family R2C zone and located within the Oxnard Dunes neighborhood. The recommendation is that the Planning Commission find the project to be category exempt from environmental review pursuant to the CEQA guidelines, section 15301, new construction or conversion of small structures, and adopt a resolution 2021 approving planning and zoning permit 21-400-01. Our city staff person is Jay Duborowski, principal planner. I don't know, Mr. Duborowski, if you have any comments or if the applicant has a presentation for this item.
Thank you, Chair Chavez. Staff does not have any additional comments at this time. The applicant does not have a presentation, and I don't know if they're on the call available for questions.
Okay, thank you. I'm not seeing any applicants, so we'll go to our commissioners for any questions. Commissioner Nash.
Thank you, Chair Chavez. I'm going to butcher your name here, Dobrowolski. I have two questions that I submitted earlier, and I just want you to briefly talk about these. Under the resolution number 8289 4C, which is a mandatory standard, it mentions a 3-foot separation between adjacent driveways. Now, is that 3 feet between the driveways, or how would you define that?
Yes, Commissioner Nash. The City Council adopted Resolution 8289 requires a 3 feet wide planter in between the two driveways. The proposed project does include 2 driveways, and in between the driveways, there is a 4-foot and 10-inch wide planter. So it does have a planter that is wider than the required 3 feet.
Okay, thank you. Under the same resolution, 7C, which is also a mandatory standard, it mentions that there are not to be identical appearing structures within this development, but it appears to me that these are mirror images of identical structures. How do we get around that mandatory standard?
Yes, Commissioner. Regarding the identical appearing structures, the proposed project before you is a duplex that's one structure with 2 dwelling units. And that is, it appears identical to the previously Planning Commission approved duplex located at 861 Dunes Street. That was approved by the Planning Commission The plans before you this evening are essentially the same as those for 861 Dunes Street. Both those locations at 1001 Catamaran Street, which is before you this evening, and the previously approved 861 Dune Street, those are not located adjacent to each other. And those are also the only modern architectural style identical appearing structures that would be located in the Dunes neighborhood.
Okay, so we're not violating the standard then, in your opinion? Or,
Yes, Commissioner, that's correct. The proposed project is consistent with that City Council resolution.
okay, thank you. That's all I have. Thank you, Chairman Chavez.
Thank you, Commissioner Nash. We'll move to Commissioner Meyer.
Thank you, Chair Chavez. One question I had was around the backyard. I had two questions then. So the first would be around the backyard. So with a shared backyard in that arrangement, is there any kind of contingency around if you have two unrelated tenants and how backyard space is thus shared, or is it just something that's meant to be amicably resolved among tenants and owner, if there even is going to be a tenant situation, or if it's just going to be owner occupied?
Yes, Commissioner, regarding the backyard space, the dwelling unit would be occupied by two separate parties, one unit each, and they would share the backyard. Currently, there is no fence dividing the backyard or any other divisible spaces. However, in the future, a fence could be constructed subject to the coastal zoning ordinance.
Great, thank you. My other question was around the roof. I'm not familiar with a flat membrane roof. Could you explain what that roof consists of for my edification? And I'm just familiar with flat roofs being challenging as far as drainage goes and generally.
Yes, Commissioner, as far as the flat roof goes, there is a very slight slope to the roof, which would allow drainage. It's essentially a modern looking architectural style. It's sort of a ribbed sheet of metal, which encompasses the entire roof.
Okay, so it's actually perhaps more like a corrugated metal? Would that describe it?
Yes, that's accurate.
I see. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Dobrowski. No further questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Meyer. Is there any other questions from the commission? Commissioner Dr. Lopez.
I had a quick question for staff first. I was able to send an email in the last hour and in the last half hour, I should say, before this meeting to staff, just to clarify if I am able to participate. I don't live in the immediate neighborhood, but I believe I live in the neighboring. And so I was wondering if staff could just confirm that for me.
Mr. Kolwitz or Mr. Rozelle?
We are double checking our conflict maps at this point in time, so give us just a few minutes.
Would that preclude me from asking questions or just from the vote?
Technically, yes. If you're within 500 to 1,000 feet, depending which standard we're using, those are the metrics that we're using. So give me just a moment to look up the maps.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Is there any other questions from the commissioners as staff is looking into that? No. I just have a couple, Mr. Dobrowski, just a couple of questions, if I may. Is there any fencing that is going to be installed to divide the parcels from their neighboring parcels on either side?
Yes, Chair Chavez, I'm flipping to the plans right now. There is a 6-foot high fence proposed, and that would be along the side and the rear of the property. So it essentially extends from the duplex to the side property line and then encloses the rear of the property.
Okay. Were there any other standards as far as renewable energy being proposed by the applicant or requested by the applicant, requested by city staff to the applicant?
Chair Chavez, can you clarify your question regarding
Like
energy standards?
solar panels or anything like that? Was that proposed by the applicant, or was that request by staff to have them look into potentially having solar panels?
Right, thank you for that clarification. The project will meet the California Building Code standards.
Okay. So is that a yes or a no on that?
So there were no additional energy measures above and beyond what's required by the
Okay.
building code.
Okay.
And Chair Chavez, this is Scott Colwitz. If I could jump in here very quickly, I just wanted to clarify that Commissioner Lopez can participate in the meeting. His residence is outside the 1,000-foot radius.
Okay, great. So then I'll stop my questioning. Is if Commissioner Dr. Lopez, if you have some questions that you wanted to go ahead.
Certainly, and thank you so much for the clarification. My question was in regards to the conditions on the staff presentation. I believe it was slide 17, condition 61, where it talked about the construction day and time, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Has that ever been a problem with such an early start time, working time, in terms of disruption or complaints from immediate neighbors?
Commissioner, regarding the construction of the proposed facility, those construction hours, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., are from the city code. It's the nuisance section.
Okay. And I also noticed that I believe the presentation said that there was no public comments received on that as well, right?
Yes, Commissioner, that's correct. To date, staff has not received any public comment on this project.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Commissioner Connolly.
Just another real quick question for staff. So owner Karapetian hasn't expressed any interest in doing a presentation. It's just pretty straightforward. They haven't, he or she hasn't reached out to you?
Commissioner, regarding the applicant, they were at a job site down in a canyon in Los Angeles when I spoke to them earlier this morning. And their plan was to telephone into this meeting. They did not have a presentation per se, but would be available for any questions.
Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you. Commissioner Nash and Commissioner Meyer, just give me 1 second. I'm just going to finish up my questionings and then we'll go into that second round, just so that we allow everyone the first round. Mr. Duwarowski, during the pre-recorded presentation, and I forgot to mention it to the public that the presentation is pre-recorded in accordance with Measure M and available on the city's website. During that presentation, it mentioned pile driving. Is that required for this area to have that pile driving if it's needed, or what warrants that to occur for the pile driving?
Chair Chavez, as far as the construction goes, pile driving is typically found in on beachfront lots where the soils warrant piles. As far as the Dunes neighborhood goes, it looks like pile driving is not required. However, that condition was in place in the event that piles would be required.
Okay. And then just real quick, I know it said that it had a 2-car garage and then it would have the guest parking, 1 guest parking. What is essentially occurring, it's a driveway that's being created that they can technically have 2 guest parkings, correct? If they just fill up the driveway.
Yes, that's correct. The
Okay.
zoning ordinance does allow driveway spaces to be used as visitor spaces.
Okay. All right. So that answered my questions. I appreciate that. So we'll go to Commissioner Nash.
Thank you, Chair Chavez. And Chairman Chavez, I think it's appropriate to call out quality work when we're presented with a staff report such as this by Senior Planner Dobrowolski. So I want to thank him and the rest of the planning staff for giving us a report that really, did not generate that many questions. And that's a sign of a good staff report.
Commissioner, thank you. It's a team effort, and we appreciate your service as well on the Planning Commission.
Thank you for that, Commissioner Nash. Commissioner Meyer.
Thank you, Chair Chavez. As a follow-up to the chair's question around the solar panels, for my clarification, I understand that new construction within these kind of low-rise construction situations require the project to be solar ready, if I understand correctly. So is it that the project is built to be solar ready, but is not built with plans to immediately have solar panels installed?
Commissioner Meyer, this is Scott Kolwitz. I believe your description is accurate. It's an item that we typically let our building and engineering staff actually implement because it's a forever changing set of energy standards that their department is really, or their division is tasked with. If it was a new single family home, so not a duplex, but a single family home, then the photovoltaics, I believe, would need to be installed at this point in time.
Thanks, Mr. Kolwitz. So for my clarification, there are solar ready features built into the project design, because I understand that it's single family or multifamily, low rise, less than 4 stories, if I have it right, that require at least solar ready.
Yeah, solar ready, we would see really in the construction plans, which are in additional detail compared to the planning set of plans that you have before you today. The planning set of plans, generally speaking, it's going to be your site plan, your floor plans, a roof plan, landscaping plans, and elevations, generally speaking. Construction plans are just going to get into a lot more detail, showing exactly where the pipes are going to run, where the conduit is going to run, how things are going to be connected. So those type of details are not typical of a planning set of plans.
Okay. So that's a bit outside of our jurisdiction.
But would be implemented as required by the California Building Code as adopted locally.
Thank you very much.
Commissioner Nash.
Is this the appropriate, thank you, Chair Chavez, is this the appropriate time to make a motion?
We actually have 1 public comment speaker on this item.
Thank you.
So if there's no further questions from my colleagues, we'll go ahead and move to that public comment.
We have one public comment from Janet Nolan. I'm going to call her right now. Hello, Janet, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You have 3 minutes to speak.
Okay. I've been living at this property for a very long time next to this proposed building that to be built and or proposed to be built. And it's been 2 years that it's been just sitting there. And meanwhile, my property next to his is the retaining walls getting ruined. Now that I know who the property owner is, I reached out to him to get this retaining wall of ours fixed. And also because I live in a single family home, I feel that a second story duplex would be I would not be able to have any privacy whatsoever because of the higher built building. And so I don't like the idea in itself. And I don't know, I've never met the individual if he'll ever fix the retaining wall that he's ruined with his fencing. I'm rather disappointed that this building will be this building is being proposed because I've seen other areas where it's been getting more and more crowded, and so I'm objecting to it. That's my opinion about the building, the 2-story building, and seeing the way it's been in disarray for 2 years. I just am really saddened about this whole ordeal with him and the property and so forth. So I just wanted to speak my piece about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nolan, for your comments. Staff, is there any comments in regards to the public speaker?
Chair Chavez, I could go ahead and take the first comment, and then if my colleagues have anything else to add, they can. So thinking about policy from a high level, this is a property that's been anticipated to be residentially developed for a long period of time. As we look back on our various coastal land use plans and our general plans. So with that as a high level thing, we've been anticipating this to be developed. The zoning standards are what ultimately identify how large a structure can be. And this zoning district allows up to a 2-story building up to 25 feet tall. What's being proposed today is just over 21 feet tall, so it's actually not quite as high as it can go. It's a project that's meeting all of the metrics, if you will, of the zone district, setbacks, height, open space, parking, all those different standards. So it's checking the boxes for what has been anticipated as well as what is allowed. Taking it one step further, the coastal development permit is the tool that someone requests to have us evaluate their project, as well as to meet various findings to see if something is allowed or not. The findings talk about a number of different things. Is it consistent with the general plan, the coastal land use plan, are proper utilities being provided, all those different type of things. We can go through it one by one if the planning commission desires. Staff finds that it is consistent with the rules and regulations. The rules and regulations, on the other hand, do not protect private views or privacy onto private properties. So there is no specific rules or regulations we have to enforce that. Essentially, we look at neighborliness, if you will, at the end of the day when individuals move in, because we're not going to regulate actually who lives in a particular property either. So that would be our quickest comment. We're available for questions if the Planning Commission has any additional questions at this point.
Thank you for that, Mr. Kolowitz. So commissioners, we have entered into the phase. If there's no questions for Mr. Kolowitz in regards to the public comment, we've entered into the phase of deliberations on the item. If there's any deliberation, any comments in regards to this project, Vice Chair Rejo.
Thank you very much, Chair. Since this project will be built on a vacant lot, it will obviously be making use of an underutilized piece of property. I appreciate that a duplex versus a single family dwelling will be built to maximize the number of units on this location. And I believe that it is an appropriate development for the space and driving around the neighborhood. And so I encourage my fellow commission members to vote in favor of this project.
Thank you for that, Vice Chair. Is there any additional comments for this item? Seeing and hearing none. Vice Chair Rejo.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I move to adopt the resolution approving planning and zoning permit number 21-400-01 coastal development permit subject to certain findings and conditions.
Thank you for that. Commissioner Meyer.
I second the motion.
Thank you. It's been moved and second that the project name 1001 Catamaran Duplex Planning and Zoning Permit number 21-400-01 be approved as recommended by staff. Is there any deliberation on the motion? Seeing and hearing none. Madam Secretary, roll call.
Vice Chair Owejo,
Aye.
Commissioner Meyer,
Yes.
Commissioner Connolly,
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Aye.
Commissioner Sanchez is absent. Chair Chavez,
Aye.
motion passes.
Thank you for that. We'll now move into our next item, which is study sessions and reports. There's nothing listed at this time, so we'll move on to Planning Commission business. This is an opportunity for the commissioners to make any announcements or disclose any dealings that they have. Commissioner Nash.
Thank you, Chair Chavez, and I want to be the first to, or the second or whatever, to congratulate you on your appointment to the Ventura County Climate Emergency Council, which has a mandate of preparing the County of Ventura's Climate Action Plan, if I'm not mistaken, to be inserted into their general plan update. And I am more than thrilled that we had a representative from Oxnard get appointed to this council. I think that is so important. So I wish you all the luck in the world, and I know you'll do a fine job. So congratulations.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Commissioner Nash. Commissioner Meyer.
Thank you, Chair Chavez. I wanted to basically congratulate our city as part of the county for all of our roles as residents and citizens in helping to achieve our county being in the yellow tier for the pandemic and the least restrictive tier now as of yesterday. I know it's been a long, difficult road for a lot of our citizens, and this shows the power of us coming together and working towards a common goal. The efforts of many people to get vaccinated and to reduce the community spread. So that's all for me.
Yes, definitely a big success. Thank you for that, Commissioner Meyer. Is there any other comments? Commissioner Dr. Lopez.
Thank you, Chair Chavez. I had previously shared about the airport master plan process that was going to be started. And I just wanted to share that it was reported in the Ventura County Star that the Director of Airports, Kip Turner, has officially suspended the process for developing a master plan for both the Camarillo and Oxnard airports for a year after residents objected to expanding business lines while they struggle with flight noise. I know that I saw some of the commentary after one of the last public workshop meetings that they had, and a lot of frustration around that meeting and how it was conducted. So I just wanted to report that for the time being, it has been suspended, which I think is probably both prudent and appreciated by many. And so for members of our community, I just continue to encourage you to stay on top of these local, city, as well as county public workshops. Public engagement and participation is critical. We do play a far larger and important role than I think sometimes we give ourselves credit to. And this is just one example of it. So for the time being, that master plan has been suspended until further notice.
Thank you for that information, Dr. Lopez. Commissioner Connolly.
Thank you for that. Just real quick, since we had kind of a short agenda today, I just wanted to encourage all of my fellow commissioners, as our study group is going into reviewing the bylaws, to just review the bylaws. We're not going to knock everything out today or next week, but please review the bylaws and then email who was appointed to the subcommittee your comments, concerns, and questions and input.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and make a couple of comments. So last Saturday, Metrolink introduced its first Saturday service on the Ventura County line, which was very, very exciting. Myself and other council members in the area hopped aboard the train and rode it to downtown. We had 130 riders, which was actually double the number of riders that we've been having since the pandemic. And it actually felt great to see the huge crowd exit the train. So it reminded me of pre-pandemic. So that was very, very exciting. So residents are encouraged, if you want to spend 4 or 5 hours in downtown LA, hop aboard the Metrolink Saturday service that starts at Moore Park at 8:52, departing the station. Gets to downtown about 10:07. $10 for a day pass that you can use to jump on any Metrolink train, any LA Metro bus, or Glendale, Burbank, all of those bus lines. And kids ride for free up to the age of 17. So benefits all around, family fun, and right before summer, it's even better to be able to have that option on Saturday. So beat the traffic and hop aboard Metrolink. So I wanted to encourage everyone to look into that, and more information at metrolinktrains.com/VC-Saturdays. I also wanted to just, as we prepare to end our regular meeting before moving into our rules and procedures, that today during our adjournment, that we keep in mind the firefighter that was killed in a very senseless act of violence, and the firefighter that sustained injuries. This is definitely some troubling times in our communities, and we need to be vigilant, be aware of our surroundings, check on our friends and family, and ensure that they're doing okay. This pandemic has not been kind, but we need to all do our parts. So today, when we adjourn our regular meeting, we'll be adjourning in that firefighter's memory, and a speedy recovery for that firefighter that also sustained injuries as well. With that, I appreciate all of the work, and I appreciate Commissioner Nash for acknowledging my appointment to the VCCEC, which is a very huge push for the largest city in Ventura County. So we finally are gaining seats at the table on these very important topics. With that concludes my comments. If there's no further comments from the commission, we'll move into our community development staff updates. Mr. Kolwitz.
And Chair Chavez, members of the commission, thank you. So a couple quick ones. I'm hoping by this point in time, all of you got your parliamentary procedures cheat sheet. So if you didn't, let us know. If you need a replacement, let us know. So thank you for the reminders for us to get that to you. A second one, as I look back on recent actions of the City Council, there's a project that you were involved in reviewing the density bonus board at your last meeting, the Central Terrace Apartments project. I just wanted to let you know that the Housing Department brought a funding request over to the council, and the council authorized using city funds to help move that project forward using the affordable housing dollars that we collect. So that was a big step for that project. There's so many more steps that it has to go through in terms of construction drawings and all those other technical documents, but that's a good sign that that project is alive and well. And then the only other option announcement that I wanted to share with you, I think this is actually a big one. City Hall, we're going to be reopening June 15th on the heels of the yellow tier. We're not open. We're not going to open up for the full day of service yet. We're taking our cautious baby steps into it, if you will. So it's going to be a morning service. So 8 to noon is what we're thinking. While the state has allowed jurisdictions to remove mask requirements and social distancing requirements, we're not there yet. So as part of City Hall, we still will be requiring masks for those coming into the building, as well as having social distance requirements within our lobbies and whatnot. But we're excited to take this step, and we look forward to working with the rest of the community to further this. So we can get to a place that we're post-pandemic for sure. But no one's spiking the football quite yet. So with that, that's the end of my announcements outside of Planning Commission business. Looking forward, we do have another meeting that we're looking at June 17th. We're anticipating it's going to be another short one. So we'll see if we predicted that correctly or not on the 17th. So with that, thank you as always. And for those of you that are on the subcommittee, we're going to stick around for you. Everyone else, please have a very good weekend here and stay safe out there. So thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair Rejo.
Yes, just a quick question for Mr. Kolwitz. Even though City Hall is opening, because the City Council chambers are being renovated, there's no meeting in person for the foreseeable, I assume 3 months. Can you confirm or deny that?
I can confirm that. Thank you.
Okay.
And my apologies for not stating so. Yeah, as part of the capital improvement program that the city adopted, a city council chambers renovation project had been slated. That has not started yet. We're still sitting here in the chambers today. It's anticipated to occur over the summer. So we're looking forward for all of our benefits, planning commissioners, city council staff, and members of the public to experience a modern city council chambers, including a brand new HVAC system. So those items are going to be coming into play. I don't have the exact construction schedule. Until that project is complete, we know that we will not be meeting in this room though with the full planning commission. So for the foreseeable future, we're going to continue virtual meetings.
Yes, and a follow-up to that, where will we see staff in person, or where will you be then with staff during these meetings? I assume somewhere else in City Hall?
Yeah, that location has not quite yet been determined, but we'll need to determine that shortly as the construction schedule is ready to begin.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
If there's no further question from Mr. Kolwitz. Since there's no further business, if there's no objection to adjourning, again, in the memory of the firefighter that lost his life, the meeting is adjourned to Thursday, June 17, 2021 at 6 p.m. Again, as a reminder, we'll be moving into our subcommittee for our rules and procedures. And thank you again to my colleagues on the commission for your work, and thank you to staff. And this concludes the regular agenda meeting, and we'll now move into subcommittees with our vice chair leading us. Thank you.